$5 to $14 in value within the local area. The Miller Media Group and this local business encourage you to shop local first. First National Bank and Trust in Clinton. Do more with your money at First National Bank and Trust, member FDIC. This local business and the Miller Media Group ask you to shop local first.
Shop local first.
Let's swing open the farm gate together every day on WHOW. I'm Stu Ellis, your host of the long-running agriculture feature called The Farm Gate. I bring the latest news and information on where agriculture is and where it's going to WHOW Ag listeners several times a day. From tariffs to treaties, from the Board of Trade to the running board on your truck, I cover Central Illinois agriculture every day on The Farm Gate. Hear it all on WHOW's many platforms, on the radio or online. Join me, Stu Ellis, for The Farm Gate.
You're listening to The Morning Show on the Big 1520 across Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and my guest on the phone is Caitlin Mellendorf. She is the nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension here in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Caitlin, first of all, Happy New Year. How were your holidays?
Thanks. Happy New Year to you, too. I am very glad for a very restful holiday that I had over the last couple of weeks. So that has been just lovely.
Very good. Good to hear. So glad to have you back with us. And we're going to dive into today, Caitlin, a pretty interesting conversation, I think. The 8 pillars of, and I'm gonna butcher this, so I apologize. You can correct me, but 8 pillars of holistic health today. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so there is this concept, and some models will use a different number. So some will use 6 or 7, and so the 8 dimensions of wellness that what we're going to talk about today is a kind of a reminder of the more holistic approach to your own personal wellness. And so it's not just, I think a lot of us, and I know myself included, we may have this thought of, well, my health is based on what types of foods I eat and what types of exercise I do. And this approach broadens that really quite a bit if we talk about 8 of these. And instead of just these 2 factors, which yes, can influence our health, but are not the only things that influence our health and so, or our wellness. And so we talk about 8 dimensions instead. I just want to list those off to get us started.
Mm-hmm.
So we have emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, emotional, financial, occupational, and social wellness. So those are our 8 dimensions. And this is something that we're going to be approaching this February. We have a program that I'll talk about later going on in Extension statewide to kind of address what are all these things. And so you guys get a little preview this morning on these 8 dimensions and what we're going to do with that program later this year.
Sure. And so you list those off, Caitlin, and a lot of people wondering perhaps, why is a nutrition educator focused on, so many of these when, maybe even just 1 or 2 of those is anything related at all to nutrition and that sort of wellness. How about that?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, in my title, I have nutrition and wellness. And so, yes, primarily my focus is food and nutrition education, but we do have that wellness piece attached to our title. So we do occasionally do broader scope types of things. And so, for example, in the financial wellness category, we have one of our fellow educators who is her title is consumer economics. Essentially what she does is works with all things money and finances. So she will be coming in to do that piece, that particular dimension of wellness, because as much as I can manage my budget, she's going to have a lot more of that background to really give people an in-depth look at what does financial wellness look like in different contexts. And so, yes, I will have a lot of this pulling in from other educators in Extension that have more of that expertise. So that's really cool that we get to kind of work with multiple teams this time around.
Well, and it feels like, Caitlin, I talked with the folks over at actually Logan County Extension about a couple of programs that are coming up this month. And it feels like, the U of I Extension, and I know this probably has gone on for much longer than just this last year, but it just feels like there's a lot more collaboration from top to bottom, side to side of the state of Illinois. Or is that something kind of relatively new? How about that?
I think it definitely got magnified. So we do statewide projects all the time, but they're usually limited to us offering them locally in person,
Mhm.
which even if we are statewide, we can't cover every single county. So having the ability of what 2020 kind of forced our hand to do, which would be virtual. So I think we have just been kind of keeping on with all that virtual statewide programming. So we do get to reach more Illinoisans, which is perfect for us. That's our goal, is outreach.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So very good. Well, let's dive into some of these, Caitlin, and these, again, 8 pillars of wellness. Talk a little bit about, some that stand out to you, what we need to know as it relates to these, how they can help us in the year 2022. And, again, you mentioned it off the air, but, just taking a broad view and a broad approach to wellness in 2022, and not just focused on, the aspects of dieting or exercise or, mental and emotional wellness and things of that nature. There's so many, like you said, so many things that go into our wellness. How about those?
Yeah, so I like this idea as part of the 8 dimensions, is this idea of balance. And you probably heard this before, and I actually like adding the kind of the active verb there. So balancing. So it's not just that you have balance in your life, it's that you are continuously balancing. So you may have good days, you may have bad days, you may have days where you can only do one thing. A lot of us are getting into, or we're maybe having experienced coronavirus or the flu or other colds this winter. And so some of those days when you are just on the couch, all you're doing is balancing, just being there, right? You're just there getting yourself better, drinking fluids and eating soup, or maybe drinking soup. And so I like this idea of balancing. And so you may have parts of your wellness in these different dimensions that you're really strong at already. So for example, maybe you feel like you have really strong spiritual wellness. So maybe you feel like you have a good, strong spiritual practice and you are feeling very confident in your spirituality, but maybe you're struggling more with your social wellness. Maybe you're feeling isolated, or you're having a lot of challenges with connecting to your community or to your friends or to your family. And so my hope for a lot of people that participate in this program later this year is that they can look at what are they really strong at already. And then once they can identify those areas where they want to try to do more, and kind of create a more balanced, or create more balancing in their lives, and figure out, okay, I want to do more of this. And so I like that idea of balance or balancing, because you are going to shift, and some days you're going to be more focused on one area of wellness than another. And so, as you said, it's this very broad and kind of fluid movement to your different types of wellness in any particular given day, or maybe even every hour of that day.
Well, and it's something that, as we go through life and go through the course of a year and the course of a week and the course of a day, obviously, and even breaking it down further, the course of an hour, it's one of those things that is, we always have to be self-evaluating on, how am I doing today? Physically I feel fine, but I'm a little off mentally, or emotionally something's bothering me. I got to figure out what it is. Like it's a constant self-evaluation, it feels like.
And I really love that perspective you just gave of you're turning your attention internally. I think we get a lot of external messages. Actually, I shouldn't say I know we get a lot of external messages of how to be well. And so I like that this really is encouraging us to look internal and letting our bodies and our thoughts give us those internal cues of what we need. And that's really kind of scary sometimes when you're having to, make decisions yourself and decide some of these different areas of wellness and what you want to do differently. But it can be really empowering to look internally and go, oh, I can do this. This is going to be really unique for me. I'm going to be able to just be a better version of me. Not changing yourself, it's just developing more of you.
Caitlin Mellendorf is a nutrition educator with U of I Extension, our guest in studio here our guest on the phone, I should say, here for this morning. And, Caitlin, it's as you're talking there, and I brought up the point about, kind of always having that self-evaluation. It's interesting. Sometimes I'll go through the day and, something will happen. My mind gets away from it, whether it's, something happens early and then I, go through this, do this morning show and I'm talking with 4 or 5 people in an hour and a half and, things of that nature, and 10 o'clock rolls around and something still inside of me is bothering me. And I'm like, what was that was bothering me? And I have to go back and reflect and remember. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot this thing at the grocery store. So I got to stop there. Or, oh, somebody said something to me I didn't like. And, trying to reflect and process that and those sorts of things. Like, those feelings are kind of always, I shouldn't say always, but they're often just kind of there, and it's like, you got to deal with that at some level. Does that make sense?
I think you're describing my yesterday. Yeah. So, I mean, and I think that's perfect of all these different, dimensions of wellness. So my yesterday was my first day back to work after the holidays. And those are always, I'm sure other folks can attest, those first days back are always busy and kind of chaotic. And then I had to do that exact thing. I had to stop by the grocery store after work because they didn't have what I needed over the weekend, but they had it, in stock yesterday. So I had to stop there. And, my to-do list, as I'm sure many people have this to-do list that seems to go on forever and ever. But then you did that pause, it sounds like. So you had that, oh, there's something I need to do, or I need to take a break. And that's great. That's, self-awareness. You're recognizing, that you need something. And so for me, it was, I got up and we have a big circular conference room in our Decatur office. So I got up and I took a couple minutes to walk in circles and just kind of reset myself. So that was kind of working on my own emotional wellness of like, there is a whole lot going on. I just need a break. And so that was, a few minutes of my day that I took out to address my emotional wellness, because I was not balancing very well in that particular area at that moment.
Yep, sure. I know exactly what you're saying. Well, Caitlin, I look at the clock. I can't believe we're already to a point we need a break. But you mentioned that these 8 pillars of wellness. There's a program through the U of I Extension coming up this year we need to talk about. But before we get to that, like I said, let's take a time out. How do folks learn more about all things, though, U of I Extension, nutrition, wellness, and just general wellness? Where do they go? How do they find information?
So they can find us online at extension.illinois.edu, and that takes you to our statewide page. And then from there, if you want to go find your local county office, so for us in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties, we have a little map up on our website. So you can click that and it'll take you to our county page. And if you want to find us on social media, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, now I'm blanking on the third one. What am I missing?
YouTube.
Well, yeah, we are on YouTube as well. I was thinking, let's see, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's the other one I was thinking. But yeah, we are on Instagram or on YouTube as well. So you can find us, search for Illinois Extension, and we'll pop up all over the place. And if you want to follow along, we're happy to have you.
Fantastic. Caitlin Mellendorf, U of I Extension, our guest on the phone. We've got a lot more with her on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.
Connected.
Let's check the markets now on this Thursday on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly lower, beans lower, and wheat double-digit lower at this hour. March corn $6 even, down 2 1/4. May corn down 2 1/4, and December 22 corn $5.52 down 2 3/4. January beans down 10 1/4, $13.74. March beans down a dime, $13.84 3/4. November beans $13.50 a penny, down 3 1/2. March wheat down 15 1/4, $7.45 1/2. May wheat down 15 1/2, 749 1/4. July wheat down 14 1/4, 746 3/4. January bean meal 421.20. That's down 2.90. January bean oil down 57 cents, 58.75. In the livestock market, February live cattle down 67 cents. January feeders 160.92, down $1.20. February lean hogs up $1.72, $84 even. Look at the markets on this Thursday. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal Opportunity Employer.
Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton CEO Paul Skowron reminding you our walk-in clinic inside our family medicine building will treat your flu symptoms without an appointment. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt counties can make your emergency or disaster like it never even happened. Find out all the services ServPro of Piatt DeWitt counties provides by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is The Morning Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest on the phone, Caitlin Mellendorf, U of I Extension nutrition educator in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt County. And Caitlin, we mentioned there in that first segment that coming up in, I'm not positive if it's this month or I know it's this year, obviously. But anyways, special program around this topic of those eight pillars of wellness that we've been talking about. How about this? What's going on there?
Yeah, so this is starting in February. So we've got about a month here. Registration for this opens tomorrow. And this is our 8 Dimensions of Wellness series. And so over the course of 8 weeks, to match our 8 dimensions, we are doing a kind of a follow along. So people will sign up. They will be able to participate through a private Facebook group to learn each week. Over these 8 weeks, 1 week will cover a particular dimension of wellness. And so we are going to start off with me, actually. I'm going to kick us off on February the 7th with vocational wellness. So looking at creating, the values and interests that you want within your job, within your school, within your career, and other places. So we're going to kick off with vocational wellness. And so when you sign up for this, you will get access to the private Facebook group and the activities that will go along each week with each particular dimension. And so then we'll be able to get you more in depth on what each of these different types of wellnesses, if that's the right word, are. And so you'll get more in depth. You'll get to practice some of these activities, to practice what we talked about before the break about creating balance or balancing within a particular day or week or hour possibly, to figure out which areas of wellness do I want to learn more about, which ones am I really doing well at right now, which ones are maybe more challenging for me right now, and I want to learn a little bit more about those. And it's just a good way to participate. And so we do encourage you, come sign up for those. You go to our main extension page, so extension.illinois.edu. You can get signed up for that starting tomorrow. And it is free, and it'll start in February. So we'll give you up until I think February the 6th, I think is when it closes. So you got a whole month to get yourself registered and participate and learn more about each of these different dimensions and figure out which ways you want to address your own holistic health.
Very good. So put that on the radar, and it's going to be a great resource for sure. Do you have to sign, or can you sign up for all of them? Just select ones. Is that how that works as well, Caitlin?
So when you sign up, it will just sign you up for the whole series, and you can participate however with whichever dimension appeals to you, which could be all of them, or maybe you want to focus just on one. That's totally up to you. But it'll just sign you up for all 8 weeks, and then you can participate however you need.
Who will be some of the speakers or the leaders in these discussions and programs?
Yeah, so a lot of our nutrition and wellness team around the state are going to be presenting, along with, I think I mentioned, one of our consumer economics educators. So she works with all the money and student loans and buying houses and all the things financial. She will be hosting our financial wellness one, and then our emotional wellness section is going to be hosted by one of our program coordinators who has her background in a lot of this. And so she's going to focus on that emotional wellness piece. And everyone else is going to be our nutrition educator. So we, and as I mentioned, I think before the break, we have nutrition and wellness in the title. So it won't just be all food things, it will cover all these different aspects of wellness.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'll tell you what, Caitlin, as I look at the clock, we are quickly running out of time. So in the meantime, is there anything with this program we missed? Anything with the 8 pillars of wellness that we missed? Do you want to put out there for us? How about those things?
No, we covered quite a bit, my goodness. But I do want to do a quick kind of shout out for another statewide program that'll be coming up here, actually quite a few months out still, in March. Our SNAP Ed team, which works with a lot of agencies that support food access for lower income audiences, like those that receive SNAP benefits or participate in food pantries. So their Health and Hunger Conference is going to be open to food pantries, to community agencies that work around food access. And that's going to be coming up on St. Patrick's Day this year in March.
Very good. So look forward to that. Put that on the radar as well. When is St. Patrick's Day this year?
It is a Thursday, the 17th.
All right. Very good. So put that on the radar. And Caitlin, again, just where do folks go to follow along with all things that you've got going on within the nutrition side? You know, I don't know if you're doing blogs or vlogs or anything of that nature much anymore, but just how do they follow along with what you've got going on these days?
For sure. So pretty much everything right now is stored on our website. So that includes blog posts that we have, that includes events that are coming up, that includes press releases that go out. So in terms of blogs, again, you can go to our extension.illinois.edu website, and part of our news and events page will have access to all the different blogs that we have around the state, including ours as a state team, which of course now I'm blanking on the title, which is Live Well, Eat Well.
Very good. Caitlin, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, U of I Extension, on the phone with us.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM.